July 7th, 2024 has been declared as the deadline for POS operators to register with the Corporate Affairs Commission, else they will be arrested. To that, the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents in Nigeria has taken the Corporate Affairs Commission to court. Now, you can call that war if you must. But one big question that is worth asking is, how will this directive impact the over 1.9 million POS operators in Nigeria? You get to know that on the show today. I'd like to welcome you to MarketSquare. My name is Oluwak Pelubiawe, and as always, I'm happy you tuned in today to follow the story. The federal government of Nigeria, through the Corporate Affairs Commission, has declared a 2-month registration deadline to point of sales companies to register their agents, merchants, and individuals with the commission in line with the legal requirements plus the directives of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Now, on that list, you have agents of OPay, you have agents of Paystack, you have agents of MoneyPoint, Paga, PalmPay, you also have QuickTeller. But according to the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System, there are over 1.9 million POS terminals deployed by merchants and individuals nationwide. If you check the fraud report by the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System PLC, you will notice that last year, POS terminals accounted for around 26.37% of fraud incidents all over the country. And there is the belief that once agents get registered, authorities can gain greater transparency into the network of POS operators, which in turn can help identify suspicious activity and make it even harder for fraudsters to operate. But before now, the CBN had asked the fintech firms in the country to initiate a KYC process. It's called the Know Your Customer process over concerns around money laundering and terrorism financing. Now, the Corporate Affairs Commission has even now vowed that security agencies would go after POS operators who fail to register with the directive to register with the Corporate Affairs Commission after July 7th, 2024. Well, Rachel, who is a POS operator, doesn't think this move is favorable to our business. Listen to her.
I'm a POS operator. So I feel like the government decision on POS operators to get their business registered under CAC is just an act to be able to put them under their control and also to extort money from them. I don't see it as any good reason. Because why would you ask them to register under an organization, and then also ask them to start going over, stop having to accept new customers just because you feel they are gaining more customers than other commercial banks? That's just an act of fraudulent activity to me. Thank you.
Given the many reports and posts online, it feels like Rachel has spoken for many POS operators in Nigeria. But what do customers have to say about this? Let's hear from Success, who does his transaction most times through POS operators.
All right, my name is Success Oibitoye, and I'll be speaking on the federal government directive to POS operators to register with the Corporate Affairs Commission. One is going to help us know that the POS operators now are registered and are accountable. So it will reduce the anonymity of the POS operators and help to track financial activities. It will help law enforcement agencies to also track criminals who are using POS machines for illegal activities. However, as a customer, we should expect increase in bureaucracy, because the cost the POS operators will spend to comply will be measured out on customers. So we should envisage an increment in the charges of transaction henceforth, and also it will reduce the number of POS operators we have out there, because those that are not able to comply with this standard, they will have to forced out of business, and it will not only cut short their source of livelihood, it will in turn reduce the number of POS operators we can have access to out there. Thank you.
That was Success there, speaking as a customer of POS operators in his environment. And I'm guessing it speaks for many people who also use POS to make their transactions. To discuss this even more, I have with me the National Public Relations Officer of the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents in Nigeria, to be specific, the body, the association that has taken the federal government to court. Welcome, Mr. Ogungbayi Olajide Ganiyo. Welcome.
Thank you for welcoming me. Thanks for inviting me to the program.
So glad to have you on the show today. The federal government of Nigeria has asked that the POS operators in Nigeria register with the Corporate Affairs Commission before July 7, 2024, and has even threatened to arrest those who don't comply with that directive. And it looks like a good move, even with the stated fact that it will improve financial inclusion and security in the country. What do you think about this?
Well, we can look at it from two angles. Yeah, federal government has the right to give policy direction on the way they feels because they are more inclined and they are having daily report of security threats to the system. But the question is this: most of the companies that have been registered before now, that are just portfolio businesses that doesn't have physical address, does that even stop people perpetrating fraud? No. A lot of businesses have been opened in Nigeria through CAC. They have their CAC duly certified by CAC. But for crying out loud, same entities have been seen to do what? To perpetrate fraud and fraudulent activities. So would that stop people from being fraudulent? No. What happens to BVN and NIN? BVN and NIN, we are made to believe, is brought about to stem the issue of fraud and fraud-related cases, terrorism, money laundering, and all that. So what happens to that? That is number two question we should ask the federal government. Then number three, the so-called POS agents that are being targeted now they didn't just fall from heaven. They are being onboarded by a provider, either the banks or the fintech companies or the MMO. And before they could be onboarded, there will be due diligence as regards KYC. So asking a subordinate to register under a duly registered business, to me, is out of place. The real reason should be given to the public. I don't think this is done with good faith. I don't think this is done to stem the issue of money laundering, terrorism, financial crimes, and all that. Because these agents were onboarded by the banks, they were onboarded by the fintechs and the MMO. And before you could be onboarded, you would have fulfilled certain KYC requirements, which include infusion of your BVN, your NIN, your residential address, your business address, your next of kin. These are parameters that can stem people from doing illegal things, because you can easily track them through that, not through CAC. So that is understand.
Well, you've made some valid point with respect to the fact that some of the policies the government has rolled out in the past didn't quite yield the expected returns as promised. And you mentioned them so wonderfully. But can we say that there is any good in the move at all? Can we say that the move by the federal government that has asked the POS operators in Nigeria to register with the Corporate Affairs Commission, can we say this move is a good move?
Asking people to register, yes, anybody can register. Somebody can be in his bedroom and send his information to CAC and get a business name registered. But that doesn't stop that person from perpetrating evil. So let the federal government come through CAC to tell us the real reason. Is it to generate more revenue, or is it just to stem money laundering, terrorism, and all that? Because if the latter is the motive, then we have EFCC in place, we have the police in place, we have DSS. Come to think of it, just some days ago, the same federal government again came out with cyber security levy, which to Amban or to our association and our members is another way to distort the economy. Not because we are already groaning under a lot of levies here and there. If I give you a retinue of charges and levies an ordinary POS operator will go through, then you will understand that the issue of financial inclusion has been propagated by the federal government, and the CBN may eventually be eroded. And when that is eroded, then we'll be talking about job loss, and it will have multiplier effects on the economy. So to us, CAC may not achieve terrorism, curbing terrorism, stemming, reducing money laundering, and all sorts of illegal activity in the financial sector.
Well, it looks like every move by the government now is aimed at making more money. Like you mentioned already, you mentioned cybersecurity levy. You also mentioned the removal of electricity subsidy. Just yesterday, Monday, we saw some members of the National Labour Congress go on the field there to protest that they want the tariff hike reversed. And I personally also know that for a business to register with CAC, it's not a free thing. You don't just go there and say, register me. You have to pay something. So for somebody watching this right now, will you tell us in 30 seconds, just run us through 30 seconds of how a business owner can register with the CAC?
Yeah, all you need to do is visit their website and input all your necessary details as required. And in a jiffy of 5 to 7 days, your business name is out, which is the minimum requirement in this business. So, but does that actually stop somebody who has ulterior motive in to stop illegal activity of money laundering and all that? No. We ought to address this frontally. And I'll give you instances. There is a guideline by CBN on agency banking. A lot of conditions are there for you to meet. And before you could be onboarded by either a bank or fintech, such institution will do a proper KYC. So with a proper KYC and you being a subordinate of a provider that has duly registered with CAC, that was duly licensed by CBN, and not only that, whose funds were guaranteed by those in financial institutions through NDIC, then we don't see any justification for multiple registration, even though having a business name is okay. Yes, when we want to look at it on the ordinary level, it's okay for an entity that is engaging in funds, societal funds, dealing in people's funds, assisting people to move money and accepting deposit from them. Yes, it's good for such an entity to get its business name registered. Yes, we accept that. But what is the motive? That is the question. What is the motive? Is it to curb money laundering? Is it to curb fraud? Is it to curb terrorism? If that is the case, that may not stop. That is not enough to stop. So what will stop it? Getting proper KYC to the provider. 2, imbuing infrastructure, softwares on all the platforms, both banks and mobile money operators and the fintechs, let them upgrade their system to capture and monitor movement of funds in and out. So all this will go a long way in arresting people that are out there to defraud the public or to carry out money laundering activity or terrorism related crimes.
I like that you alluded to the fact that when the business is registered, it's to the business owner's advantage. And looking at the fact that the government has not even declared that the registration is for free, because I read through and I didn't see anywhere it was written that the registration, that the POS operators registration is going to be for free. And knowing fully well that in Nigeria today, there are over 1.9 million agents, of which 70% are sub-agents. Now, it doesn't look like the government will go back on this because as I speak to you, there's a threat, and like you know already, that whosoever doesn't register before July 7th will be arrested. What do you recommend are measures that the government can, just put in place to reduce the burden on POS operators all over the country? It could be to reduce the registration fee, or even to scrap it totally, to say, come and register. If you register from this time to July 7th, you won't pay anything. So what would you recommend as a measure by the government to encourage POS operators, secondly, to ensure that it doesn't affect so many POS operators in Nigeria?
Okay, yes, you have also preferred part of the solution to this. Are you telling me that the CAC has infrastructure to capture this number you have quoted within that short period of time? Can it be done and done effectively, where there won't be any itches here and there and what have you? So why the rush? Why the sudden? If financial inclusion has been in place since 2012, this is 2024, for God's sake. This is about 12 years running. So why the rush suddenly? Why not give enough time lag for people to get themselves registered and do the proper KYC if that is what the government feels? So why the sudden fire brigade approach into our issues? We are just less than 3 months to come. So if the government can make the time more longer than what it is, fine. Then the issue of registration, I would have expected that, okay, you want to bring everybody on board, you want to have their data, and you want to harvest their information probably for future plannings and for other engagements, or to arrest situation of money laundering, kidnapping, terrorism-related cases and all that. Why not subsidize the issue of registration for this niche set of the society? Don't forget, this is not only CAC charges they are paying for their shop, they are paying for local government fees. Each of the transactions they do also come at a cost. They buy data on their machines. They pay their staffs a whole lot of payment, including energy costs. So one will have expected that, okay, for the niche, because these are niche businesses, these are SME businesses that are just trying to make ends meet. So one will have expected that government will be magnanimous enough to say, okay, for this set of people, we'll be giving you at a subsidized rate of probably, instead of 20,000 or thereabouts, or 15,000, okay, we'll be giving to you at 5,000, at 10,000 naira. Then we will know that, yes, the government is having the welfare of the citizen at heart. Mind you, all this will still have negative effects on the financial inclusion of the federal government. 2 weeks ago, we were in Abuja. Amban is in Abuja to partake in the national workshop on economy and the financial inclusion that was having the vice president in attendance. And we have a lot of industry players. We have CBN representative there. We have a former CBN governor, Emir Sanusi, also there. So a whole lot of things are happening in financial inclusion sector, and government need to leverage on the gain so far, not bringing more issues that will slow down the momentum. So one will have expected, just like I said earlier, that government should reduce for this set of people.
Wow, thank you very much for being a part of this show today, Mr. Ogugbayi Olajide Ganil. And we look forward to a favorable outcome of the court case I woke up to see this morning in the news. Thank you for joining. It's time to visit the market and know what it will cost to get things this week. MarketSquare reporter Favor Eya, over to you.
Yes, my name is Idealise Grace. I'm here with a market woman who is selling rice, beans, and as you can see. So we just want to know what's the price of today's market. We want to know wetin market talk today. So this rice now, last week we hear say the price of last week no be the same thing. So this rubber now, wetin talk last week?
That one, that's 900.
900. How much now?
Now it's before last week it's 180, but now it's 240 now.
240. You can hear 24. You can hear that people okay, and people see they buy am.
And they try
Wetin you see say people fit do, because as e dey increase, people still dey die. Wetin be the reason why people still dey buy the rice?
As you know, food another food wey person go
eat. Yes, definitely.
Because rice, all small children wey dey like now, I like rice in the morning. Nobody want to eat eba for morning. Garri, even though garri too cost.
Garri wey be say na low food, e don cost.
One wey dey better wey the original 4,000 naira. One way get.
Okay, that means we still get original garri for market and the one we.
Different. The one wey dem dey use hand do. Na him be 4,000 naira. The one wey dem dey use engine do, na him be 3,500 naira.
So garri now no even be poor man food again.
No be poor man.
Okay, may we talk about this beans. How much for beans? One this agolo now, how much now?
That agolo 600 naira.
Per one. Imagine.
One deliver is 1
I want good. Okay, good. You get golden penny, because now here we take they produce our golden penny now. That make me the ask that way. You don't get golden. Okay, this one now when.
Just please. Okay. Now 900 naira per one.
900 naira per one. Wetin we do? Wait, you can see what we are making in our own country is now 900 naira per one, and we are complaining that the rate of dollar is getting high. Okay, Mama, now wetin we get for you today? You fit tell us wetin elubo talk for market?
Elubo too still cost. One plate now is 2,500 naira.
Na yam for yam?
No, for white elubo.
Okay.
Cassava elubo.
Cassava elubo.
But yam elubo, it be 4,000 naira for one plate.
Okay. The yam uncle, how much?
That one na cocaine.
Na cocaine.
Na Nigeria cocaine be that
really?
One.
So how much? Na per one you take dey sell?
Per one is 2,500 naira.
2,500 naira
yes,
per one?
per one.
Okay, I see say you make am 3-3. How much like that?
That one be 7,500 naira.
How much you buy am for market?
I don't buy am. If I sell 1 3 like that, I go see 200 naira on top.
Just 200
yes,
naira.
The 3 don't talk to 7,200, 7,300.
Guys, this is what we are facing in Nigeria economy. The high rate of the products in market are getting expensive. So thank you, Mao. Thank you for giving us that hint.
All right. The Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise has called on the Central Bank of Nigeria to tame inflation and bring about stability to aid planning for businesses. Before we go into that even more, let's do the numbers. The NGX All-Share Index declined by 0.53% and closed at 97,708.74 basis points compared to the previous day's loss of 0.02% to close at 98,233.76 basis points. The NGX market capitalization also recorded a loss of around 296.82 billion naira. The value of naira on the Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange Market depreciated by 1.98% as the NatFest rate moved from 1,426.62 thousand naira per dollar to 1,455.51 naira per dollar, while the Bureau change rate depreciated by 2.15% from 1,453 naira per dollar to 1,485 naira per dollar. The Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise has urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to adopt a uniform rate to create certainty in the trade sector. The center recommended a rate of 1,000 naira per dollar for import duties going forward. The Central Bank of Nigeria has been asked to adopt a specific quarterly exchange rate for import duty collection. This was stated as a measure towards addressing the problems associated with frequent changes in custom exchange rates and general volatility of the foreign exchange market. Now, just before this particular headline, this particular part of the show, I read to you the exchange rate at the moment. How that naira depreciated on the Bureau de change rate by 2.15%, and it also depreciated on the NatFem rate by 1.98%. And this is a call. This is a call that the Central Bank of Nigeria should peg the exchange rate for those importing to the country at 1,000 naira per dollar. In a statement signed by the Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Muda Yusuf, he lamented the effect of irregular changes in the custom duties exchange rate, stating that it is inimical to production and planning and will worsen the inflation rate in the country and increase investment risk. Noticeably, in the first quarter of year 2024, the exchange rate changed 28 times, and in April last month, the exchange rate changed 10 times, 10 good times in April. These changes can compound international trade uncertainties for Nigerian businesses and will hinder Nigeria from hitting the set growth target. There needs to be a meeting between the stakeholders and fiscal authorities because of the trade policy implication of such decision. The government has to call into a room stakeholders in the import space and have conversation as to how to make sure that this is favorable, because you know that the importers have their association, they have stakeholding groups there that could be consulted by the federal government of Nigeria so that policies that can be favorable to both parties, mutually beneficial to both parties, are established. And one of such is the recommendation by the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, saying that the import duty should be pegged at 1,000 naira per dollar. A framework should be adopted for a quarterly customs duty exchange rate. Let's say the CBN can peg it at 1,000 naira per dollar for those who import goods into the country. Because with a fluctuating exchange rate, businesses will struggle to predict their import costs, making it difficult to plan and to budget. When a business owner isn't sure of how much it will cost to bring in goods into a country, that person may most likely, the most likely move of the business owner is to increase the amount, is to raise it, because he is not so sure as to what will happen the next day. And a call like this, calling the federal government or the CBN to look into this critically and say that let's peg this in at 1,000 naira per dollar for those people, those individuals who import into the country. And what that will do is it will increase a lot of investment. It will increase importers' confidence in the country. Once the import duties are pegged, it provides more stability, allowing businesses to operate more efficiently. It can also potentially reduce the prices for consumers. For instance, if the rate is pegged and is lower than the current exchange rate. At the moment, $1 exchanges for over 1,400 naira. And let's say if the rate is pegged and the pegged amount, 1,000 naira, is lower than the current exchange rate of over 1,400 naira, the cost of imported goods for businesses could decrease. And this decrease could then be passed on to consumers in the form of lower prices. Because the idea is every time a business owner buys something for a higher amount, the persons who will pay for that difference are the consumers. And once this is pegged, something happens to the price of foodstuffs in the market. We saw the figures for the month. For the month of March. Food inflation was over 40%, and this move can just be a move in the right direction for the government of Nigeria. As we pursue inflation from 33% to about 28%, because I think the vision or the goal of central bank is to reduce inflation to around 28 or 29% from what it was in March, which was 33%, before the second quarter of the year. Once import duties are pegged, once the government can peg the import duty, it will help to stabilize import prices, which would potentially slow down inflationary pressures in the country. Thank you for joining today. It's been an incredible time having you join me on the show today. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on YouTube. Follow us and you will get updates as soon as we have them. My name is Oluwapelumiyawe. I look forward sincerely to see you on the next one.